YouTube was good. It's your boy, Paul Harris, aka the Crazy Uncle. Hey, guess what? This your first time tuning in. Go ahead, hit the doggone subscribe button, hit notification bell every time I post up new content. Well, people, got a lot to talk about. Uh, there's one other thing that I didn't put up there, and that's with all of these banks on the West Coast then shut down for whatever reason. But uh, before I get any further, I'm gonna actually really I gotta take this time out to over this weekend. Uh, I lost my cousin. You know, matter of fact, she had just turned 50 uh, back in December. Uh, as far as like on my mother's side of the family, uh, she was the oldest out of 13, right? So she was the oldest, and then I was the second. She was the oldest granddaughter. I'm the oldest grandson. So um, it's always hurtful to lose family members, especially those that are actually really close to you or were close to you at one time. And it's not because of we might have had a misunderstanding or anything like that. It's just sometimes other responsibilities actually really get in the way, and you actually really tend to separate. But hey, it is what it is. And also, so for the most part, uh, to my cousin, tell you, love you. You know, um, wish you were here, but uh, as most people will say, hey, look, you resting, you ain't got to worry about it no more. You ain't got to suffer no more. Which, again, that within itself is a subject, that could be that could actually really be discussed. Also, my book, AR 670 Harris, My Life in the United States Army, Amazon.com. Go ahead, pick up your copy right fast. You know, and so and with that being said, got a lot to talk about today. Um, we're gonna talk about this Mississippi 1020 law. We're gonna talk about what oh Tucker Carlson unveiled, right? Even though a lot of us actually really knew what the fuck was going on before he actually really started, doing anything about it. For those that actually really thought that shit happened on January 6th, right before Biden actually really took office. Yeah, I got some motherfucking beachfront property right here. Matter of fact, right down the street from where I stay at. Beautiful. Matter of fact, it's a beautiful view of a big ass puddle of water that and the only reason why the puddle of water is still there because the drainage system in some areas of Little Rock, Arkansas, uh, fucked up. I'm just gonna just go out there and just put it out there. But hey, if you can actually really go out there and say, well, hey, guess what? I got water in front of my house. So, and as you can see, this is Monday. I got my tasty beverage for those of y'all that 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 are either retired like me, right, or you ain't got to, or today is your day off. And if you actually really watching this, or you gonna watch it later, I suggest you go get your tasty beverage, right? It ain't necessarily got to be alcohol, as long as it's tasty, right? Or smoke whatever it is that you actually really enjoy smoking on, and yeah, just sit back and actually really sit back and relax, watch this show. And like I said, I'm actually really waiting for Super Smoke to come on. Uh, we had actually it was gonna be Rambo Zach and Super Smoke, but due to you know other when duty calls, whatever whether it was something to do with yourself or with family members, you know that for the most part that's always gonna act like really take precedence, versus uh actually like really doing a show. So, but just like I said, hopefully Super Smooth to come on here quite shortly, and just like I said, we go ahead and get this party started. But I will say this much, you know, uh, I'll just go ahead and I just actually really started off, with all this stuff that's going on over there on the west coast or the western seaboard or whatever. However you actually really want to look at it, right? They want to sit up here and be like, well, they didn't shut down, they didn't shut down the banks, right? And then like what for whatever reason, you know, they'll put this shit out here, and then they'll be like, okay, uh, well this, they always got to come up with some old bullshit ass excuse, right? And so, but with with that being said, oh well, okay, well the bank, okay, it's a bank in New York that closed down. Then it was, I think it's some shit. So there it is. You got it on both. You talk about motherfucking burning the counter at both ends. That's just this is what's actually like. That's the case. So in our case, people, all I'm gonna say about any bank, regardless if it's on the East Coast, West Coast, up north or down south, right? All I'm gonna say is I always go back to one specific date in history, and that's August 15th, 1971. Right? If you act like really don't know what happened on that day, I can put like this. I can tell you. Matter of fact, I'll just go ahead and tell you right now. But here's the deal. I tell you like I tell everybody else, regardless of subject. Hey, look, don't take my word for it. Go do the research for yourself, right? And so that way you can actually like really go confirm it yourself, right? Instead of saying, well, the crazy uncle told me such, and then just go and actually like really do your own research on things that matter. And yep, there she is. Super Smoke, what's good? I see you didn't change your logo.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm all right. You know me. I actually like had to because I knew the importance of this. I cut my gym time short because I didn't want to actually like really hurry up and get here and do a rush job of this. So, because like I said, got a lot to discuss. But first and foremost, I actually like really because I want to say that was Friday, and then me and Zach we talked a little bit. I told him about the Mississippi 1020 law, and he was gonna go back and do some research on his own, but he got his fatherly duties down there.
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
I just go ahead and if you can tune in, hey, uh, by all means. But yeah, like I said, what this I mean, because I've been because I kept track of it or whatever. So is this a law that they already passed, or is it something that they trying to pass?
It's a bill.
Okay.
So I mean, it even when you look at the verbiage, the title of it, the first line of it is very, it's I mean, I don't even know what word I could use. other than shocking. It's just an act to create inferior courts in the Capitol Complex Improvement District.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you use the word inferior, instantly as a black person, I mean, come on now. And Mississippi has a very high black, or I should say, well, I don't even like saying African American, but a high black population rate. So
yeah,
you really want to just come out and say, we already think it's two constitutions, so you just want two courts too.
Yeah.
I mean, that first line when you read it, now out of all of the amendments that they had in it, a lot was either lost or dropped, but they've adopted, enough for it to get national news attention. Now it's getting national news attention because this has been going on for some time.
So, I mean, because like I say, I looked at it, I looked at some of the clips, and so basically, of course, those people right there in Jackson, Mississippi, they're upset about it, because it's saying it's like it's taking away, voting power. It's taking away like a lot of stuff that, that these people were actually like really, able to do, right? But then again, just like I was telling Zach last week, as far as like the voting power goes, right? I always go back to the Civil Rights Voting Act of 1965, and back in the 50s and 60s, when the civil rights movement was actually really going on, these southern states, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, what they call, I don't know if they still call it the Bible Belt or not, right? But
yeah. I mean, I haven't heard that term in a long time.
Yeah. So, but I'm just looking at the simple fact, this, just like say, I mean, good the fact, I didn't live through that, but if just going back and looking at history or whatever, and some of it, it was in the 60s, late 50s, all of the 60s, even going into the early to mid to late 70s, right? But I just look at it like, as far as like the Civil Rights Voting Act, which actually really gave us the right to vote or whatever.
Right, so, but it still goes into the light of why did it have to come to that?
Exactly.
That's the thing. It's like people are like, what do we do now? Well, the marches damn sure didn't work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The speeches, and stuff like that, that's fine. But the marches didn't do a damn thing. Yeah. Segregation, for me, looking at it on a broader spectrum, segregation didn't go as planned. Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because it is 2022 and you still have people trying to make laws that control and divide.
Yeah.
And you're trying to, how they say, they tell us to unlearn and relearn, but they're trying to cover up and cover because they know some of us don't read, some people, but just like them. But at the same time, it's I said 2022 earlier, it's 2023, right. And you're still doing things of this such. And everybody, the first fact that they point is Mississippi is 80% black. And I said every politician, and I'm gonna say politician, I don't give a damn if you're the mayor or the city manager, that if you're black or even of color, you should take offense to this the production of this bill. And we all know how bills come about. You have these lobbyists. For people that don't know, I always tell folks, you want to know how the government works? You want to know how bills come about? You need to watch the movie Mrs. Sloan. The first few minutes of that movie, They were trying to lobby a gun bill. And she was like, no, but she always had a plan. We don't have very many Mrs. Sloans in this male-dominated industry that politics have come into. And the thing is that you still have how in the hell do you have a state that's 80% black and you have white politicians trying to join the show, trying to still run the show? That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, it's unfair. How can you have a 80% black population? I don't know how many people live in Mississippi, but we know that a lot of the politicians are white.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's not fair. The same thing in Arkansas, same thing in Texas, the same thing in Alabama, Louisiana, Florida. We've seen this before.
Yeah. And as far as like Arkansas goes, because we just got this new governor, but right to this day, I mean, that's Governor Huckabee's daughter. So of course she's gonna get in. So that's the only thing that that's the only thing that really that bothers me. So, and again, it's and then when you look at it, and then you can also look at it like with when George Bush Sr. he was in office, and then turn around, then his son come in some damn near 10 years later, right after Bill Clinton is in office. So, but and then you also gotta look at, okay, when Bush Jr., when he won the first time around, and when it came down to the state of Florida, his brother was motherfucking governor. So
right.
So for me, right, I just look at this and I'm just like, it's almost like, okay, it's more at play here than what they actually really want to put out. And it's just for the simple fact, a lot of us see this. A lot of us see this. But then again, it's just like what you said earlier. During the civil rights movement, none of the marches worked, none of the protests worked, and all that kind of shit. And I'm feel like it's it's almost and came down to this, and and I got like two possibilities. The first possibility is that it could be just for the simple fact that whoever that could be on that's already in office, or somebody that's up and coming, they probably feel like, okay, hey, well, look, this is actually like really just too much for one person to handle.
Right? Well, that's kind of to add in to what you're saying. Mm-hmm. There was an amended bill in that, and it said that it would approve 5 state-funded judges who would be appointed by the Supreme Court Chief Justice. So it's like you said, what's behind it? Who are they trying to get into the office? To what you said.
Yeah. So, but then again, it's again, Smooth. I look at it like, you get a lot of people, right, that they'll look at what's going on. They'll know that the shit is fixed, or you put like this. We already know that a lot of this shit, they already know who's gonna be in office before we do.
Exactly. Right? It's rigged. It's king making.
Yeah. So I think what happens is that when a lot of people, they see that, right? And then motherfucker like, well, shit, why bother? Because they already know who they want in office and why. Whether it's at the presidential level, or whether it's at Senate level, or probably it's from the highest level to the low man on the totem pole. They already know who they want in office and why. So a lot of people might just say, you know what, the hell with it. But I just feel like for the state of Mississippi to want to pass a law like this, because I just look at it like this, because if they succeed, right, then I got a pretty good idea who's gonna be next, and it's gonna be the state of Arkansas. I mean, out of all of the states in the union, right? And I'm from
Because
Arkansas.
Georgia tried it.
Yeah,
When I remember, what was it? What was her name? Stacey Abrams.
something like, yeah.
I don't think that. I mean, and some people might beg to differ, but I don't think her goal was to win governor. I think her goal was to. She had that light shined on her, and she shined. A lot of people didn't like what she was saying. A lot of people didn't agree with her, but it brought conversations to the table to say that, you know what, you're right. But if it is going to be two states that do it, it's going to be in the South. And in Mississippi, it's always going to be the first. I mean, when you ask somebody, where you from? Mississippi, land of the slaves.
Yeah.
You know, when you see it in movies, when you meet, we know it. In it's either going to be, in my opinion, it's either going to be Arkansas or Alabama, because Georgia ain't going to do it. It's too many. You know, we done got to how they call us uppity now. You know, when you go to Georgia, you know, I call Georgia Wakanda. You know, I went to Atlanta. I said, man, I ain't never seen this many black people in my life. But you know, Florida is too cultural. Florida is not only. Florida is, I believe, Florida has the biggest population of cultural black people with, you know, from different variations of black. So you can't do it there. You're going to mess up things, and they definitely can't do it in Texas because we're too close to the Mexican border. And if you know what goes on at the Mexican border, it ain't got nothing to do with drugs. It has a lot to do with agriculture. And Texas is directly connected to California when it comes to agriculture. It's not going to happen nowhere else but the South, and only in the South. And Arkansas and Mississippi is the two states to do it. But and I think it'll go Mississippi, Arkansas, Kentucky, and Indiana.
So it'll slowly but surely work its way up.
But it happened before. Look at the states that outlawed abortion. Now, I compare that. I compare this because you can't do it in too many states because, you know, you can use the term woke, but people are reading more. People are paying attention. You want my vote for what? You want me to put who in office? No, I disagree with that. You want to do what with my tax money? People are asking questions, so they gotta put loopholes. But what they're gonna do when we start reading these House bills?
Yeah.
Because it's a bill now, but I guarantee you it might not go past Mississippi. I mean, that might be the reality of it. Yeah. But somebody else is gonna lobby this and introduce this in another way. You know, they're gonna put this in a different form.
Yeah, I mean, because I remember you brought up that one movie, but I could tell you at least two other movies that, for the most part, they actually really showed you how politics work, and that's the first one that comes right to mind is The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, because here it is, you know, it's just like, you know, I think it's with any politician that's, you know, because for the most part, you on the outside looking in, and you can be like, well, damn, that's fucked up, right? And then you can get in there and you can say, yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, I'm gonna do the other, right? But then the first time that they be like, all right, you in, and then here they come, they throwing this at you, they throwing that at you. And then before too long, you actually really done forgot what you was running for,
right?
Because it's gonna be money here, it's gonna be like this, it's gonna be money over here and pussy over there and drugs right in front of you, right? So after a while, right? You know, and then they gonna the people that's been in office for 20 and 30 years, right? you know, they gonna be like, hey, look, if they'll be like, okay, you know what? I get what you're saying, but guess what? If we allow this to happen, then you finna tear a big hole in my pocket, his pocket, her pocket, you know, and it's then it's be like, okay, is that something that you really want to do? Right? Because it's easy that they got you in there. I'm pretty sure they can push your ass right back out this motherfucker. Right?
Right.
It's no different. Just like remember, I forget her name, but remember that one senator up there in New York where she made she made that damn YouTube video and she out there on the beach, you know, doing a handstand and twerking and can on.
Oh
And
yeah,
I'm just
she was on a good holiday. She
yeah,
was living her best life, and they didn't like that. They was mad. I don't
yeah,
know if they were more mad that she posted the pictures or the fact that she had ass. So
yeah,
it's like, what are you mad at? Because y'all can go on golf trips. Hell, I
yeah,
think I was more mad at Ted Cruz for going to Mexico and taking his daughters and then coming back when we was in the middle of a crisis.
yeah,
I mean, I don't care what this woman do. I mean, if she, I don't care about New York. New York ain't ever gave a damn about no Texan. But
yeah,
my thing was everybody got issues. Y'all trying to post pictures and shame a woman for enjoying the holiday, but I'm more concerned about my senators going out of the damn country when we were we had a major power outage
yeah, yeah, yeah.
where
Cause Cruz showed up, got out of there.
he
I remember
left
that.
with a quickness, and I'm like, of all places, Mexico. Of all
Yeah,
places, you wanna take your ass to Mexico? Like, come on, bro. Like, if, but then, oh, it's a problem at the border. Then what you going to Mexico for?
exactly.
What you going to Mexico for? If that's, and that's why I say it's you got so much. Like, come on, man. Like you said, they know it's messed up,
Uh huh.
but you just gonna do it anyway.
Yeah, I mean, cause I look at cause I look at all of this stuff, and I know me and Zach, we talked about this a while back, and then I talked to some of my family members that actually I really know what the fuck is going on, and I tell them I'm like, you know what? The only reason why that put like this, they created the game, so they have to play by it in order for everybody else to play. I mean, uh, because it's almost like, okay, let's just go back to the army days or whatever. Here it is. I'm either the section chief or the platoon sergeant, and I'm just like, okay, well, hey, look, I'm gonna need y'all to do such. And then if it's like, well, ain't you coming with us? I'm like, nah, I'm gonna hang back. So what the fuck you think the rest of the motherfucking platoon is gonna think? I'm like, yeah, I'm telling y'all to do it, but I ain't gonna go in with y'all. So, so it's almost like they'll put all these motherfucking laws out, and then they'll be like, well, hey, look, we got to play it on to make sure that this shit sticks, you know. And it's just like what you said earlier. A lot of people are starting to wake up now. A lot of people are actually really starting to ask questions. And then the other movie that I was gonna mention, remember the Dukes of Hazzard, right? When Boss Hogg he found out that the Duke farm and like three other farms around that area, right? They
Mm-hmm.
went and they took that core sample, right? And they was just like, okay, the only thing that the only thing that was stopping Boss Hogg was, hey, look, I gotta actually really put this in front of the county as far as like, yeah, go ahead and dig or just say hell no, right? So he went and got his buddy Billy Prickett, right? And so basically, he won all of the shit down there in Harrison before Bo Duke came along, and then he just told him, he said, look, I don't need you to win the race. I just need you to show up, right? Because he figured, hey, look, if everybody is watching the race, right, then the courthouse is open, and all it takes is one motherfucker. All it takes is one motherfucker to say, yeah, go ahead and do this, right? And then if ain't nobody there to actually really say yay or nay, except for that one person say, yeah, go ahead and do that, then what the fuck you gonna do?
Right. That's the same as it's like that conquer and divide. You know, when you have people, the best thing you could do to a controversial situation is provide doubt.
Yeah.
That's just like, you know, like even now, let alone with these bills. I know a lot of people might not like this, but when I look at the 1020 law, I look at the relationship that these are the same people that passed the laws, the same people that want us to believe that Jesus was white.
but you know what though, Smoot? You know what I tell people a lot is that I tell people all the time, yeah, Jesus was white, but just note that ain't the true name, right?
Right.
So
you got it all wrong. That's just like how they change. They like they said they're trying to cover up a cover up, and why as we are unlearning and relearning our history, just like when they go into these, and when we start to find out more about their histories, we're gonna realize why you have so many black people that act the way they do. You don't own me. Your law does nothing. Like that video of that black man, or just simple, how Kanye West acts. You do not, your laws don't abide to me. I was already here before you. You do not have jurisdiction over me. There is a society that exists, and it exists for people of color. Because the first people and the only people that truly, I'm a law-abiding citizen, you know, white folks.
Yep.
You know, and I'm not talking about these new nice white folks. I'm talking about these white folks from back in the day.
Yeah.
These daughters of America. You know, the you know, those people, the before the baby boomers. You know, they had to be bought in. They had to be bought and sold again.
Yep.
That was the first rule of trickery.
Yep.
You know, so it's like, you mean to tell me that you come in here with all these laws, rules, and regulations, and then the whole point of this 1020 law is tax money.
Yeah.
I haven't heard but one news outlet actually go into detail or mention the tax money. And I'm like, ain't nobody paying attention. So if you gonna unelect all of these prosecutors, that's what you're doing essentially. That's the process. To go by an appointee system by the Chief Justice. So where that money going? Where they going?
Exactly.
What is it? I mean, Mississippi done already got screwed over by Brett Favre. So
I don't know. Maybe they try to. I don't know. Maybe they recovering from. Maybe they recovering from that. You know. So, but you know, and I look at Favre, right? And then I'm like, here's a guy. He played what? Did he play damn near 20 years? So
just about.
Yeah. So it ain't like that he didn't have the money, right? Or it could be the simple fact that a lot of these motherfuckers is actually really lying to us to how much these motherfucking football players are making, and because I know I did a video on my previous channel, because when Dak Prescott got that huge deal, right? So I just went on there. I'm like, why y'all all up in the air? I'm like, Dak ain't got no fucking money because yeah, he can sign the contract all goddamn day long, right? But
the contract don't mean nothing. I mean, they all. I mean, some player. Look at some of your bigger players taught us that endorsements is what gets you money. You know. That's you're not gonna get them owners. The NFL is just as controversial. You know, it makes sense. You're only getting paid. What is it? how long is football season? A couple of months?
Yeah. 17 games. So
yeah, that's why I said, if you have a son, don't let him play football. Play soccer or something.
Mm-hmm.
Play baseball. You're gonna have a longer time. You're gonna get paid more.
Yeah, because it's just like what I said when he did that $160 million contract. So I just said, hey, guess what? Uncle Sam finna snatch 30% of that, right?
Right, Uncle Sam, your agent,
and then here come the agent,
your
right?
investments,
And then
everybody that you owe, your cousins that done came out of nowhere. Some of these players say their mom and daddy owe them, they owe their mom and daddy. Of course, you're gonna get mama a house, especially, mama raised you. You gonna lace mama up. Your baby mamas, if you got kids. I mean, at the end of the day, what you got about 100,000 left?
Yeah, if that.
Then you got to get all these chains. You got to get all these rings. Your bling bling. You got to get you a new boo. You got an image to upkeep, but then you got these players that don't fall into that. These players that don't buy into that. You whack. Look how they vilify. They'll vilify you for being simple.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like with Marshawn Lynch, they vilified him when he came up with that. I'm just here so I won't get fined. That man spoke his mind, and I don't blame him. A lot of people don't like microphones and cameras in their face. I don't.
Yeah, So, with him and who was that? Kyrie Irving. A lot of them. They just, because like right to this day, that what Kyrie Irving did or didn't do as far as like taking the shot. I'm just like, and what's so bad about it? Just like what you said. People are looking at Kanye and be like, well, he talking crazy. And I'm just like, okay.
He talking like a free man.
Yeah, I'm just like, okay, so what is it that I'm missing?
See, that's the thing. This is the missing part, like with this 1020 law. If y'all are able to create a law like that, what are we as a people able to do to respond?
Exactly.
What can we as people? This law is going to directly affect Black people, Black communities, Black organizations, Black mothers, Black fathers. What can people do? And that's the missing question. You know what I'm saying? Like you haven't. Everybody got an answer for everything else. But what can these people do? Because it's gonna be a sore thumb. And what happens when you got a sore thumb is gonna start affecting the rest of the hand. The hand is going to affect the arm. It's going to go up. It's going to be like a cancer. Yeah. So why are y'all steady creating laws that essentially don't benefit nobody? Because at the end of the day, I guarantee you, when you go to work, it's a Black person that worked there.
Yeah.
When you go to the gas station, it's a Black person there. When you do something wrong, when you do something good, or it doesn't matter. It's a Black person there. So we here. Get over it. Yeah. You have Black constituents. You have Black coworkers, Black colleagues. I mean, it's what is the purpose? What is the real? We already, at first I wanted to call red flag, but I got to reading the law and I'm like, what are y'all trying to do here? What are you really saying? But what do you expect them to do other than protests?
Yeah.
What is it? The ALCU, they have it's already a kill the bill campaign out. That didn't take no time.
Yeah. But then like what I said, I think a lot of people see it, and a lot of people they'll raise hell, right? But that's about all. That's about all what a lot of people actually really gonna do, because I guess they feel like they scared. They feel like they're gonna lose their job or whatever. Whatever. I don't know, but the thing about it though,
that's the very first question you ask. They gonna stomp, they gonna pout, and then after that, what can you do?
Yeah. So it's all they're like say, we can sit up here and like, look, we didn't talk enough, we didn't march enough. So you got to be like, okay, well, let's actually really take some type of action to be like, okay, hey, look, did y'all forget that we was here? I mean, so it's just like what Kanye said, and a lot of motherfuckers, Kanye, and then I'll listen to Dane Calloway, every once in a while, and then I actually really found out something very interesting yesterday because just like say, me, I do a lot of research, and sometimes I'll go back and I'll backtrack shit, right? And so I just yesterday I'm just like, okay, I typed in the truth about the Statue of Liberty, right? And I don't know how many people know this, but do you know that the Statue of Liberty was uh colored, it was copper toned?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
and I'm just like,
that color of rust, and
yeah,
you can, depending on what you're into, that coloration of rust only comes from one or similar like materials.
yeah. So yeah, so then like I said, when I found out about that, so I will go ahead and say I'm damn near 50 years old before I really knew that when they first brought it over here that it was a different color, and then they say the rain and shit got to it, and this is why it's this is why it's the color that it is today. So but it's just for the simple fact that for a lot of, just like I said, for a lot of us that are actually like really starting to pay attention now, right? It's just like, you know, again, what's going on, but all right, like, what is your next move? I mean, because hell, before I joined the army, I was, I was involved in a lot of community groups right here in Little Rock, Arkansas, and uh, so then, like I said, I went to the Million Man March, and then I forget, it was just one company that was here, right? And then they knew they were going. It was a big company. I forget where they actually came from, but they decided, hey, look, we want to do business right here in Little Rock, Arkansas, right? And so they was hiring motherfuckers left and right, smoke. But guess how many black people that they hired? Not one, right? But then again, but we went down there. We went down there, and we had motherfucking we had Channel 7, Channel 11, and Channel 4 down there, right?
Yeah.
And we asked a question. I'm like, okay, so y'all just hired this one group of people, right? And then they gonna sit up and say, oh, well, we didn't know. I'm like, how the hell you not gonna know? Right? A job is a job. Hell, we gotta sit down, we gotta have a place to stay, we gotta be able to eat, we gotta be able to feed our families just like y'all. Right? So it's just a matter of just like I say, it's just a matter of getting the right type of group of people together.
But
Right?
that's why I say I always ask the question, do people think that desegregation was the proper step? Because I'm not saying like take out all the the beatings, the killings and all that. When I say the desegregation was a bad step, I mean that we should have been able to have our own like some other nationalities.
Yeah.
I should be able to go in the community and be successful like other nationalities. I should be able to go in and out the country as I please and still be able to make it. Because who got all the gas stations? Who got all the nail shops? Who got all who got all the you got the trucking companies. Who got all the warehouses? Who got all the real estate? What we got?
Yeah.
Beauty salons and barbershops.
Yeah. And then even then though, like smoke, it could be like, okay, well, everybody always heard about, well, support our business, support black businesses. Like,
But
I
you
got
want
no
to
problem with that. I got no problem with that, but at the same time, don't charge me an arm and a leg
Charge me what you gonna charge any other customer. Don't come in here and let Bob come in and you give Bob $20, but you want to charge me $50 because I'm a you know what. No, charge us the same equal price. I'm gonna advertise for you. Bob gonna advertise for you. But just understand that advertising with me is gonna bring you a different type of demographic than Bob. Bob might bring you some of his old retiree friends. You know, they might be veterans. I might bring you some people from the hood. We might be veterans too, but we can link up. We can come to a common ground. We can have something in common.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's like, it's not all to be hated and it's not all to be understood. But at the end of the day, don't come in here charging me an arm and a leg, and you better give me good service too. I want the same service. If I'm getting a burger from you, I expect the same service that I get at Chick-fil-A. You better my pleasure me to death.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Or for instance, in your case, when you go to a gym, you expect to have certain things in a gym. Like for me, I like a semi-private gym. I don't want to go in there and I got to wait for the next sweaty motherfucker to finish on the machine. Yeah. I want to go, if I want to go and have a leg day at 2:00 in the morning, I'm going to go have me a leg day at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's funny that you say that because, like a few months back, like I actually really went and I asked the people at the front desk. I said, "Could y'all get some more weight in here?"
Yeah.
And so they looked at me like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, as far as like the dumbbells, I was like, the highest y'all go is 120 pounds. So
yeah, when you come visit down here, I'm definitely taking you to my gym.
So they was like, okay, well, what? So they was like, okay, Mr. Harris, so what are you saying? I'm like, at least, I'm not saying go up to 150, but at least go up to 130, right? And then how about they told me, right? They was like, well, you know, we hear you, but we can't just do that just for one person. And so I'm just like, well, how do you know it's just for one person?
Exactly. You know, somebody else might be thinking it, but they didn't say it.
Yeah. And so I'm just like, okay, just put them in there, right? Eventually somebody will grab them. And I told
because this is what I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Like I wanted, you know, when I went to this gym, I walked around. I said, can I walk around because I learned my lesson. I didn't did the Planet Fitnesses. Nothing against Fitness Connection because they got saunas. My gym don't, but they got showers and locker rooms that's private.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, they got a lot of other things that I think is an addition. But when I walked around in there, I wanted a specific leg press.
Yeah.
You know, and they had it. They had what I needed, and I was like, I ain't gotta wait on nobody. But I'm gonna say this: when I go back to the dumbbells, I'll be like, ooh, y'all go past 200, you know?
Yeah,
and I'm looking, and they, you know, I'm like, cause what you say, you like, man, somebody asked for it.
Yeah.
Somebody else, that's what you say in the gym, like, damn. Because you could be walking around, you know, because they'll have somebody walk. If you don't put a dumbbell back, we're not going to yell at you. We know you getting it in back. It's an area where that's like, I call it like the getting it in area. Yeah. Sometimes you might be tired, you know, you do that 360 with your hands on your hips.
Yeah.
And you got to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you might leave something on the floor, but they have somebody come in and pick that up. And you know, it's like, damn, you know, you looking around, hey, dang, I know somebody asked for this or a certain type of weight or a certain, you know, rogue might be different from a different company. But it's just it's gonna bring, just because you know, you might be lifting with a guy that was in prison. And you might be a straight and narrow by the book, but y'all like lifting weights.
Yeah.
It's everything. If it can bring you together, it's positive. And I don't understand how this, you know, just to kind of bring it back to that 10-20. How in the hell is this going to bring your state together?
It ain't. You know, it's, you know, and then again, you know, it's just, you know, again, it's like, okay, like, well, hey, somebody asked for it, right? And then, you know, then you know, because, you know, it's almost like, okay, well, hey, look, I was thinking it, but I didn't have enough about myself to be like, well, hey, good, go ask for it, right? Because they're like say, I can come in and I can ask for it on Monday, and then somebody say like on Tuesday or Wednesday, they can ask for the exact same shit that I asked for, right?
Yeah.
And then everybody, and then after a while, eventually, shit, a bell or a light should go off in your motherfucking head to be like, okay, well, we done had a couple of people ask for such, right? So let's just go ahead and get it. And because just like I told, just like what I told the people at the gym, I said, look, you gotta treat this the same way that you would treat a motherfucking library. No, everybody don't come to the goddamn library, right? But it's just for the simple fact, look, guess what? We know that it's there. So when I decided to go to the library, I could go to the motherfucking library. And that's what I told them at the gym, right? I said, look, 120s, okay, I got it. And then for me, right, I'm one of them type of motherfuckers, and I'm like that with damn near everything. If I see it, then yeah, I'm gonna try to grab it, right? So it's the same thing. Like if my wife was to bring in a big ass bottle of motherfucking Jack Daniel, right? I'm gonna look at it and then I'm like, let me see how much of that I can actually really take down today, right? So with that, with politics, I really wish that motherfuckers would be like, I mean, and that's another thing too, though, Smoke. Everybody is quick to holler bullshit on a lot of laws. But I've been like, where the fuck was y'all at when they was actually really trying to put this in the law? See what I'm saying? So
yeah.
like,
What I want to know, my question is, being that I know knowing the processes of a law or how something becomes a law, who lobbied for this bill? That's what I want to know. I want every picture, just like they, when somebody is on they on America's Most Wanted. Yeah. I feel like whoever lobbied for this bill, wrote this bill, I don't give a damn if all you did was look at the grammar and the punctuality of it. I feel like their faces should be plastered all over the state of Mississippi. Because it's like for you to even feel this way that you have to do this. What is going on in your city, in your county, that you feel like you have to put this? I thought because the first thing that people address it or connect it to is Jim Crow. Now that's bad. Now if you was comparing me to Michael Jackson or Michael Jordan or Lisa Leslie or Cheryl Swoops, I feel kind of good, but I do not want to be compared to Jim Crow.
Exactly.
Now now what do you or who do you have to be, or where do you have to be in your mind to write a bill, and when you put it out, people just say, oh, this is Jim Crow again? How can you be comfortable with that? But I gotta remember that one of my favorite movies, and actually one of my favorite songs, what they say, Down in Jackson. They was talking about Jackson, Mississippi, The Help.
Oh yeah.
And we know some people be like, hey, that was a book, that was a true story. How many of our grandmothers, aunties, uncles was maids and butlers and took care of people's kids, and you want us to take care of your kids, but we can't go and take a pee in your bathroom.
Yeah, because I'll tell you one thing. Like my mother at one point, she went and she got hired on this family that stayed out here in Pleasant Valley.
Yeah,
it's a little suburb, here in Little Rock, and the people were nice. I mean, they were white folks. They were nice, because I would, because my mom would, bring me out to the house every once in a while. Then I would meet the family. I'd meet the kids or whatever. And but it's just for the simple fact that, it's what my mother had to do.
It's what right? They represent.
And to yeah, and then to for my mother, black woman, and she raising two boys, right? Um, at the time, it was hard. It's hard enough. I mean, now, granted, the fact, I'm not like how my younger brother was that stayed in all kind of trouble. But it was just for the simple fact, hey, look, here's a black woman. She got two boys, right? That she got to watch after, right? And to act like really, you put like this, you going to work in somebody else's house, right? And so it was a lot of times, I just told mom, I'm like, hey, look, I mean, I get it, but this is, you know, it don't get no better than this. You can't go work somewhere else, and and just like say as parents, you do what you have to do, and and then here it is. Like I done grew up, I'm in the army, right, and then here it is, with my son or whatever, and then I'm looking at he probably looking at me like the same, as the same way. He like you couldn't do nothing better, and I'm just like, hey, I mean, you do what you got to do to keep a roof over your head, food on the table, clothes on your back, the whole nine. And that's why I told my son, I said, look, you're not fit to put on no motherfucking uniform. I'm gonna transfer my educational benefits to you. You gonna carry your ass to school, right?
Right.
I don't want you. I don't want you doing what I did. I mean, yeah. I mean, now that I actually really think about it, I really, really don't see I really don't see myself doing anything else but having a motherfucking 21-year career in the United States Army. But hey, look, it is what it is. It was I did it so my boy wouldn't have to do it, right? So it's just one of those things that you know that within itself the cycle or whatever the fuck it is that you actually really want to call it. This shit is gonna have to change. We can't just doggone just settle for something and just because we get a little piece of money like every week or every 2 weeks, and then we be able to pay our bills or whatever. You know, it has to be just more than just that, right? It's like, and we got to really have more say than what we have. And it's a damn shame where that people from other states can't come in and say, hey, guess what? That's wrong, and y'all know it's wrong. You know, uh, I don't know. I don't know, Smoot. It's fucked up. That's about all I can actually really say on that.
Yeah, it is. But let's go to this Tucker Carlson.
Yeah. So because I saw this right, and for the most part, I don't know. Do I actually really cheer for Tucker Carlson, or do I look at him like I look at everybody else? Because when that shit happened, right? And I'm just like, okay, this is the most secure building, if not the most secure building, in not just here in the United States, but the whole world over, right? And then that shit happens. Come on now, I looked at this the exact same way of the 9/11 thing that happened with them planes, right? I mean, I'm just like, because they want to sit up here and say like, well, we don't know what's how they say it. They like, well, we don't know what's a training exercise versus what's real world. That's why they say those planes they couldn't keep track of the planes. But unless what's that one movie? What's those two movies that came out? What was that? Olympus. has fallen.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you there, Smooth? I
Yeah,
guess
yeah, I'm here. I'm
I
here.
guess
You froze a little bit.
yeah, I guess I said something I wasn't supposed to say. So no, but I'm just figuring, I'm just looking at
And then he got the lawsuit.
yeah. I'm just looking at the simple fact now, unless Hollywood is telling us a lie about how secure the White House is, right? Then I could be like, okay, well, then I can understand January 6th. But I know better than that. The president, he, regardless of who's in office, they in that motherfucker. So I'm just
But
like, okay.
but look at the headline. I mean, well, look at what's underlining about it. They say he lied. Everybody lied when it came to the damn January 6th shit. Everybody lied. Soon as we said that. So when somebody walks, okay, you're gonna laugh, but this is what I compare this to. If somebody drive past your car and the car messed up and they cut you off, what's the first thing out your mouth?
You raggedy motherfucker, right? Why you gonna cut me off?
Or that's why your shit fucked up now.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm saying.
So the first thing that when I seen that, I'll never forget it. I think my grandma wasn't here, but I think she called me, and everybody was calling me. Look on TV. I'm like, no, what's going on? I'm on TV. I'm like, oh, and the first thing come out of my mouth, if they was black, they'd have been all dead.
Yeah,
if everybody said that if that was us, we'd have been dead. So the thing is that we know y'all was lying. Y'all was lying from day one. Don't talking about he don't know what you lying. You lying. It's all right? we know y'all lying. We just can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, it's almost like with I watched Eddie Griffin his concert, right? The Dysfunctional Family.
Oh man, Eddie Griffin, he be on point, man. I love that dude. He be on point to where it's like a deeper level than Cat Williams. Cat Williams will touch on it, he'll speak on it, but Eddie Griffin, that's why I say political comedy is difficult, but when you know what you're talking about, it's very hilarious. George Carlin.
Yeah.
George Carlin and Eddie Griffin, I mean, they're to me, it's like, and I think what's the other dude's name? I think he's English. What is his name? Gervais.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Or something like that. Them three dudes. But Eddie Griffin more so, you know what I'm saying? I mean, like I grew up on that. What is it? What was that TV show he had back in the day?
So I was like, because he was talking about the whole when the planes got hijacked and shit, right? And so they came in there with motherfucking box cutters and talking about. And so Eddie Griffin said, motherfucker, we done been in a knife fight before, right? We all hood. So he was just saying, what he say? Do you realize how much money a nigga got to save up for a ticket to fly from New York to Los Angeles?
And I'm trying to tell you, that ain't gonna happen. Yeah, that ain't gonna happen. That would have been, the first question would have been like, who we gotta do what? We gotta do what for what? Hell no, and I can go to jail. No, I ain't doing it. That every black person I be nah, fam, I can't do. I can't call out. I done used all my excuses. I can't. I ain't got no more PTO. Or look, it was January. Now I'm about to file my taxes. I need my money. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's just like we knew what was going on. We knew we know, and that's why like now. If you see with the Holly Weird stuff, and I'm mad they didn't get that lady her Oscar, but Angela Bassett.
Oh, okay. You go ahead and finish it. I'm gonna tell you why I'm gonna tell you why Angela Bassett will never get an Oscar. Go ahead and say what you got to say.
But it's just like you can have all the Tucker Carlsons you want, unveil the truth, tell the truth. We know the truth.
Yeah, we knew that. Like I said, we knew that before he called himself trying to reveal it.
Yeah, I mean, Denzel Washington told us.
Yeah,
they all tell us. I mean, Morgan Freeman told us. Denzel Washington say, if you read the news, you're misinformed. If you don't read it, you're uninformed.
Yeah.
And Morgan Freeman say, yeah, you looking, what you looking at is a mask. You need to look behind it.
Yeah.
We already know that. And these are two prominent men. You know what I'm saying? I mean, shit. Look at Sidney Poitier. They did their work and they sat on down. They tried to tell us. They tried to show us. We know what's going on, but we can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, but the thing with Denzel, right? He actually really said the same shit in Training Day, right?
Oh yeah, that movie has so many gems in it, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, that movie was a gold mine. But tell me why you think she'll never get one.
She'll never get one because if you look at all the iconic roles that she played, right? She was Malcolm X's wife. Okay. And everybody depended on, so that right there, you depending on who's it. Well, we already know who the fuck is in charge of the Oscars, right? So
that's why I don't understand why we ain't start our own shit. Why we, you ain't got to call it the Black Oscar. You ain't got to call it. I mean, hell, you could have called it the
Douglas. But the thing about it though is this: did you hear that? And I really wish that I could find it. But Dick Gregory, he broke that shit down as far as like who the Oscars was actually really named after, right?
I'm sure it ain't no different than one of these pagan holidays.
No, it was like they actually really, I forget what it was, but it was like an actual, I don't know if it was an Egyptian statue or something that they actually really named the Oscars after. Then, like I said, I have to actually really go back and try to find that video if YouTube ain't took it down, right? So, but in either case, like what I'm saying, she's a great actor, right? But she played Malcolm X's wife, right?
Didn't get an Oscar.
Yeah, big no, right? And then look at what the fuck she did in Boys in the Hood.
Didn't get an Oscar.
Yeah, big no, right? Now,
Tina Turner.
Tina Turner. So now here's the kicker right here, right? So she played the mother of the Black Panther, right?
Yeah.
So in the Constitution, right? Back in the day, right? They looked at us as 3/5 of a human being.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Meaning that animals, you can look at an animal and then you can actually really say, that's an animal. They look upon us less than a fucking animal. So here it is, for one, it's a comic book, right?
But that ain't. But see, now you gotta add something in the middle of that. It might be a comic book to some people.
Yeah.
But when I was a little girl, I'll never forget this. When I was a little girl and I asked my grandma what was a Black Panther, that's when I really, you know what I'm saying? That's when I really intrigued me. She would tell me stories because we lived in Indiana.
Yeah.
And the Black Panthers were very prevalent in the city of Chicago.
Yeah.
And that's always something that was very, very profound to me. That whether you're a man or a woman, when you're educated and Black, they hate you.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that was something that stayed with me. So that's my version of a Black Panther. But if you ask a kid that was the same age as me then, I'm 10 years old learning about this stuff. That was my first introduction to politics, and I didn't even know. it was politics, but my grandmother put it in such a way where I could be able to easily digest it and easily learn it and be happy with it. I didn't know I was into politics. I didn't know what the hell I was watching, but that's my version of a Black Panther. But if you ask my son, he gonna give you a damn action figure.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm gonna introduce this to you in about 4 more years, man. I'm gonna hook you up, you know. But it's 2. It ain't no damn cat. It is not no cat.
Yeah, you know. So for me, right, I just look at the simple fact. Okay, you look at, you know, it almost actually really brings me back to the song that Jada Kiss did called "Why," right? So they were saying that, well, why did Denzel had to be crooked before he took it, right? So if you actually really look at all of the Black actors and actresses that have taken home the Oscar, right? Always go back and look at the roles that they played in order to get that Oscar. Hell, look at what Monique had to do. She had to play an abusive woman, and she got the Oscar. We already know what the fuck Denzel did, right? We knew what we knew what Whoopi Goldberg did. We knew what Hattie McDaniel did because she was the first one. She was the first one to ever. She was the first one to actually really to win an Oscar, right? And so when you look at that, and then you look at the roles that Angela Bassett has played, right? Just like I said, she was Malcolm X's wife. She was Tina Turner. She was Furious Styles' wife in Boys in the Hood, right?
I mean, I think the worst, but my thing, you gonna give Halle Berry and Monsters Ball, but you won't give, I mean, and I'm not saying even Octavia Spencer from the movie Help and the 12 Years a Slave, Mahershala Ali from Moonlight, Viola Davis from Fences. I mean, Mahershala Ali got 2 Oscars, not 1 but 2.
Yeah, but let's look, but look at all the people that you mentioned.
But Will Smith just got his first Oscar. Daniel Kaluuya, see that movie right there, Judas and the Black Messiah. That's a lot of that still goes on. Yeah. I was going to mention that Judas and the Black Messiah. It's not even just the name. It's just that you coerce somebody to backstab somebody else that changed the culture. I mean, we gonna have, and I really want to talk about that like by itself. Yeah. The fact that J. Edgar Hoover, I can't. If it's somebody in government and politics, I can't stand. It's that man.
Yeah,
he is responsible for killing and martyring. I don't even say murder, but martyring a lot of Black figures because he was simply trying to control things. But it's just like, why do we have to play these roles? Why do we have to play these fictitious characters to win an Oscar to show you that we are just as great as anybody else? Why does it have to be that way when you Black?
Well, I tell you, it's the easiest question to actually really have an answer for, right? When you look at us, we are the original, right? And so when they know that,
hold up, I don't mean to cut you off. Cicely Tyson never won an Oscar. Oh shit! Okay, yeah. keep on going.
So basically, what I'm saying is that when you are the original, and so you got to be like, okay, well, eventually these motherfuckers gonna find out. So until they find out, we gonna try to keep this shit covered up as much as possible, right? And so again, right? It's everybody whoever that's on the motherfucking Oscar panel, right? Just know somebody in that motherfucker is steady constantly tap dancing and they everybody in there doing the yes boss. You know, uh, it's whatever it is whatever whatever or whoever is in charge of that shit. The main motherfucker, right? It's act like stopping for a lot of actors and actresses to get they just due. And then when they do get it, they gotta play a bullshit role. And
yeah, because I felt like out of all the movies that Halle Berry played, I felt like you the fact that you're giving her Monsters Ball, that was some bullshit.
Yeah.
That movie was bullshit. I'm sorry. I hate it. I don't want to mess up your algorithm, but that movie was bullshit.
But you know what though? Smoke. Right to this day, I have not seen that movie.
You don't want to see it. It's the same. It look, that was a miniature Green Mile. That's what the hell it could have been.
Yeah.
You know, you had Puff Daddy. He played his role. Whatever that man name is, that country man name is, that was with Angelina Jolie. Billy Ray Thornton.
Yeah.
And Halle Berry. Everybody did their thing, but that movie just somebody had said this. It was a YouTube video. They said they gave Halle Berry an Oscar and she didn't got banged out in the middle of the movie.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that to me is just.
So again, it's almost like, okay,
you got to play the whore. You got to play the prostitute.
It's like why did you get the Oscar? Why did you get the Oscar?
Yeah, you got to play the prostitute. You got to play the whore. You got to play the slave member, the thug, the whoever. You know what I'm saying? Or even now that you introduce Netflix into the game.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just a lot of it's a lot of factors, and I'm just like, that just goes back to my question. You ain't telling nothing new. You ain't making no new laws. You ain't progressive. And this is me speaking to America.
Yeah.
White America. You ain't changed nothing. You ain't progressed nothing. Money ain't the root of all evil. It's respect.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Mm-hmm. You still trying to, I don't care what generation you pull this up on. Two people from 200 years ago is having the same conversation as me and you.
Yeah.
400 years fast forward in the time, they still having the same conversation because if you lead with the knife, you're going to have to continue with the knife.
Yeah.
That's why they say you live by the gun, you die by the gun. And it's the same thing. Y'all done, and this only exists in America, and America has to succeed. So if you sit here and you tell me that we are the number one country that has to succeed, everything that happens here, our presidential election is the most broadcast and advertised. Don't nobody care who the president in South Africa is. Don't nobody care about the president in Australia. Don't nobody care about if you Sheik or Sunny in Australia. Don't nobody care about India, the Indian president or the prime minister. Don't nobody care about that, but they care about the United States of America.
Yeah.
Why is that?
But the thing about it though is this though, Smoke. You look at all of the entertainers that was in the 70s and 80s, right? They got their money here. And then once it dried up here, they carried their ass across that water over to Germany. Tina Turner.
Not even Germany. Yeah. Sweden.
Yeah.
Sweden. Because why were there Swedish producers making records for NSYNC and Britney Spears to compete with Boyz II Men? Because Boyz II Men was the first boy band. New Edition. Yeah. They had to go outside the country to compete with us.
Yeah. So that within itself should tell you. And then, like, I remember watching a documentary a while back. It was called The N-Word, and everybody named mama was in it. Whoopi Goldberg was in it, Samuel Jackson, Ice Cube, Neil Long, Chris Rock, just to name a few. So it
Wasn't
was
it?
this one guy.
Wasn't it on? Was it on Netflix?
No. You have to go on. You ain't gonna catch it on Netflix because this shit was back in the early.
Oh, it was older.
It's yeah. This shit like about it's every bit of 20 years old, and they had matter of fact they had Michael Irvin on it too, right? This just goes to show you how old that shit was. So in our case, right, it was just one guy. He was talking about his best friend had went over to Japan, right? Black guy, executive guy or whatever. So he went over to Japan to actually really make a deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So this guy, he gets off the plane, right? Goes up to the Japanese executives who he's trying to do business with, and he said the first thing that flew out of their mouth was, "What's up, nigga?"
Right.
Right. So it's just for the simple fact that we here in America, right? We'll sit up here, we'll manufacture, we'll package up the word nigger and send it overseas because all of the rap songs back then, right? Because they actually really did a list. It was like in the 90s or whatever, they actually like really they listed 100 songs, 100+ songs that had the word nigger in it.
But during the time, 90s was the golden era of rap.
Yeah.
I mean, you got, F the Police.
Yeah.
You got gangster rap. You got, New York. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they started. That's what we was going through. But see, that goes back to what we were saying earlier when we were talking about the 1020.
Yeah.
We were trying to unlearn and relearn, but we was just talking about our environment.
Yeah.
I'm sure if me and you wanted to be rappers, we can think of conversations and situations that we was put in.
Yeah.
We can tell us everybody that's black, they got a story. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can think of many stories or many experiences that I've had as myself.
Yeah.
I mean, and I was very young in the 90s, but when the early 2000s came in.
But Smoot, what's so bad about it though, Smoot, is that the Japanese at that particular time
they already knew how to say nigga, just like they knew how to fry chicken.
How to say nigga, and then what's so bad about it, they had a motherfucking sitcom where all of them in the house talking about good morning, nigga, and then they had like the little young one, he had his little hat on or whatever, and he was like, "Good morning to you, nigga," and then the music was playing.
But if we do that, we wrong. But if they do it's gentrification. It's gentrification if they do it. That's just like you see a white girl with cornrows. It's gentrification. No, that was for us. Or you see somebody with a head wrap on. No, that was for us because y'all didn't like our hair.
And then what's so bad about it, right? What's so bad about it, right? So he asked the guy, right? He was like, "What is this?" He was like, "Oh yeah, nigga, bitch, motherfucker, very popular in Japan." So I'm just like, wow, really? So I mean, this was in the 90s now. So I'm just like, okay, they're like say you motherfuckers over here, they'll package that shit up and they'll sell it to everywhere. Right? And so, and it's just like what you said, right? And I remember doing a college paper, and the teacher asked me, he said, well, they gave us, I'll never forget the subject, said, well, what part of Dr. King's dream, I Have a Dream speech, has been fulfilled and what parts haven't been fulfilled, right? And then I showed it to my dad, right? And he said, well, hell, all of it. And I said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, if you actually really know what the definition of fulfill means, right? It's just like, okay, you can say this and then you do it at one time, like, okay, you done fulfilled the dream. So you ain't got to do shit else after the fact, right? So I just feel like, okay, it, again, we can sit up here and we can talk about this until both of us are red, white, and blue in the face, super smooth.
Right.
But the thing about though is this: I truly, honestly feel that, and I think Malcolm X said it best. I'm like, in order for everybody to actually really get together on one accord, right? We got to fix ourselves for those of us that need fixing, right? Let's let's look at ourselves, look in the mirror, and be like, okay, what the fuck we need to do before anybody else call themselves trying to help us out. Then once that happens, then if other people want to come in and be like, okay, look, we see that you're doing this, so guess what? This is
Yeah,
what the fuck we're gonna do.
it goes back that scene in the movie where that white woman walked up to him and said, "What can I do?"
Yeah.
And his response was nothing.
Yeah.
And that was the problem. That's what made me start to question. I watched that movie several times.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And that movie, not only, I enjoy seeing the nation, empower black men.
Yeah.
Their first step is to empower black men. Now I have met empowered women in the nation too, but you're not going to meet an empowered black woman without meeting an empowered black man first.
Yeah.
But to understand the same way it went wrong, you need to make it right. What did the slave masters do? They attacked the woman first. So to break down a man, you went and you took his woman first.
Yeah.
And then to break down the woman, you took her man.
Yeah.
So they was up in there doing that with both of them, and then the kids looking like, what the hell going on? Yeah. So I feel like I get it. It's these different organizations came about that, but it still goes back to that same thing. I feel like for me, we should have never desegregated. The black man should have stayed the black. Look, if you got to die, then die. Because look at what we're going through now.
Yeah. You know what though, Super Smoke? I'm gonna recite something for you. And I know Malcolm X said this. And he said that speaking as a black man from America, which is a racist society, no matter how you try to separate it, is as racist as Portugal, is as racist as South Africa, is just as racial as any other racial country on this earth. He said, what did he say? He said the only difference between us and South Africa is that South Africa preaches integration, we practice segregation. Yep. This is the only difference. We only practice what we preach. For South Africa preaches and practices the same thing. He said, I have more respect for a man who let me know where he stands, even if he's wrong, than the one that come up to me as an angel and is nothing but a devil. So I just feel like, okay, hey, look, if you truly honestly believe that bringing us together was wrong, right?
Then I think that it's not that I believe that it was wrong. I felt like it wasn't the time because we didn't know our name, we didn't know our language, we didn't know shit.
Yeah.
When he was alive, I would go talk to my great granddad, and ask him, where you come from? Who are you? You know what I'm saying? Who are you?
Uh-huh.
And when you black, once you get to a certain part, it get lost. Yeah. But then you look and you see your white friends or your Jewish friends or your Amish friends. Well, I know my great. I don't know mine. And you looking like, how the hell can that be? Slavery. It's not slavery. It's because they destroyed that shit.
Yeah. Now,
when are y'all gonna tell the truth that y'all destroyed? Y'all sole mission was to sit here and destroy a certain part of history of people knowing themselves because you knew what it would do to somebody.
Yeah.
Psychological history had to be made first.
Exactly.
Physically and mentally, when you tell somebody what people be saying, what's the number one thing? Oh, I'm trying to find myself. You 30 years old trying to find yourself, it's a little too late now. At that point, you're gonna give up.
Yeah.
It don't matter if you're a male or a female. But they knew that was going to be able to be a triggering point. Yeah. So let's just cut them off. Let's just cut them off at the ankle.
Yeah.
You can get to the nitty gritty, but you ain't gonna know who the hell you is. You ain't gonna know who your great granddaddy is. You ain't gonna know who your great great granddaddy is because we gonna make sure that shit can't be found.
Yeah. And then now my whole deal, Smoke, is like I don't. Well, I'm about to turn 50.
Yeah.
And so
you look good, by the way, for 50.
I appreciate that. But the thing about it though with me, Smoke, is that I great the fact I didn't know who my dad was until I was 19 years old. Right? But it was just for the simple fact that on my mother's side of the family, right? I actually really got a chance to meet my great grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
And my great aunt, people that was born in the early 1900s, probably 1895, 1890. So I was actually really fortunate to meet a lot of my family. Whether it was my grandparents or my great great grandmother, my great aunts, all that kind of stuff. And then once I actually really found out who my dad was, and he actually really told me that he was actually really tracing the family tree back to blah 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 and all that kind of stuff. And then here it is, coming to find out that my grandfather was Jamaican. And this is on his side of the family now. So my grandfather was Jamaican. My grandmother was Puerto Rican. And it's just for the simple fact that my grandfather on my dad's side, he had 12 brothers. So back then, the family, families back then, they were huge. And so even right to this day, I've actually really tried to trace back, family roots or whatever. And then come to find out on my mother's side, my grandmother was Cherokee Indian.
Yeah.
So for me, right, the only missing piece for me is to find out what my grandfather was on my mother's side. And then I actually really go back and I look at history or whatever, and I try to figure out, okay, well, what Indian tribes were here in the state of Arkansas during that time frame, and right now, Super Smooth is like motherfucking needle in the haystack. It's like, the Cherokee was here, the Osage Indian was here, the Choctaw, the Chickasaw. So
it was all here. That's the thing. That's why that last time we were talking about that, I said you can't tell me y'all was over here on the damn boat. No.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nobody over here on no boat. We was already here. Y'all conned us.
Yeah, and so that's what I'm saying. Because like I say, I talked to my grandmother. I talked to my great grandmother. I talked to anybody that I could, and not one time, Super Smooth, that they said that any of us came off a motherfucking boat. So
mine ain't never saying nothing like that. Nothing.
Hell no, mine either. So again, going back to what Kanye said, going back to what Kyrie, anybody that's got some sense that's not afraid to come out on national TV and say, hey, look, these bastards, they telling us wrong, right? And
but
so,
see, that's the thing. You know what I think? Being that you said that, I feel like this. Because a lot of people, a lot of times, like who we went at war with, the Middle East.
Yeah.
And regardless of what you want to believe, you know.
I tell you what, I'll tell you, and now that I actually really think about it, I'm actually like really surprised that I lasted as long as I did because when I went to Saudi the first time I went to Saudi was back in '98, right? And we be out and about, and they call them TCNs,
Yeah.
right? They would come on the compound or whatever, and say like we be off duty or whatever. We go into the PX, the commissary, and then they be out just like we be out, and then it was almost like them motherfuckers. They would focus on me so tough, right? That the rest of my friends they were like, "Well, damn, Harris, why they looking at you so tough?" And I'm like, "Well, shit, I don't know."
Because you look like them.
Yeah, I great the fact, I had my black friends with me back then. So it wasn't that they was all white, it was a mixture. And so like when I came back and I told my dad about this, and so I was like, Dad, what's going on? He said, what are you talking about? I was like, hell, I was over in Saudi and hell, they looking at me like I was one of them. And then he flat out told me, he said, just because you are, son. Right?
Yeah.
So
And that's something that my dad would tell me, and it's just like, who are we always at war with? And then,
yeah,
I think I forget about this. I might find the video, but it was one time. This was right before Donald Trump got elected, when they was in that battle with Hillary. It was like it was fresh. It was real tough because the media did a damn good job of deflecting when they killed Gaddafi.
Yeah.
Now, the media did a great job. I wish Zach was talking on that because he always had good points about that went against Hillary, and he always spoke, or he was very knowledgeable on that situation. But people don't really realize when you from Egypt, where you from? Africa.
Yeah.
You light skinned. You look like you from the South. And I, if you put me next to a motherfucker that's from Egypt, if you stand me and Zach next to each other, you're gonna think we can.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what? But you know what those but you know what those Spook? Again, it's funny that you say that because Richard Pryor in his last concert, well, I'm not gonna say it was his last concert before he got where that he was in a wheelchair or whatever. And he was down there in New Orleans, right? And then he actually really just said it. He said down here, he said, you can't tell what no motherfucker is down here.
No, you can't. Right? Not even white folk. They ain't white, they Creole.
He said it, right? He said, because you motherfuckers look white and be black, right? So again, it's that's what I'm saying, to act like really just to look at us, like I said, I'm the color that I am, you the color that you are. Then you look at Zach, and then you look at anybody else, whether you Cherokee Indian or Choctaw, Chickasaw, whatever the case may be, we cover the motherfucking spectrum.
We cover everything. Like I got a cousin. She your complexion, but she look Japanese.
Oh yeah, and then see, here's another thing too, right? I'll never forget it. It was either my third grade teacher or my fourth grade teacher, Miss Perry. She was Japanese, right? But she showed us a picture of her grandfather. Guess what color he was? Black.
Yeah.
And she actually really showed. She brought the picture in the class, like her grandfather was black, and then she's sitting in his lap.
But that's why I keep saying that it was a video that was made, and it was by one of the Saudis. He was in a high office. He was a high ranking official, and he had said, if the United States of America doesn't continue to stop what they're doing, we're gonna start telling some secrets. And I feel like they everybody know.
Yeah.
It goes on a bigger spectrum. Y'all know what the hell is going on.
Uh-huh.
And that's my thing. If I ever, for me, I don't even want to talk like a lot of times, like I don't even understand, like when people be talking about Hollywood and all this other shit. No, I don't care about that. I want to know where we came from.
Yeah.
Where we came from. What are y'all hiding to the fact that why can't everybody else say nothing? Y'all shut up everybody else too? Why y'all can't stand the Middle East so much? Why y'all don't like China so much? Why y'all don't like Russia? Why y'all didn't tell us that there are black people in Russia right now that are black that went there? Russia had open arms for black people.
You and I both know that anybody that actually really try to tell it, they kill off. Like right to this day, I truly honestly believe that they killed off Paul Mooney because Paul Mooney was saying
Paul Mooney was shit. A field day with this slap heard around the world, man.
Yeah.
I wish Dick Gregory and Paul Mooney was here right now, man. Like I would have loved to just sit there, shut up, and listen.
Yeah, I think those two, they had to shut them up, right? Because
that's just like they had to shut up every rapper that gets big. They have to shut them up. Like I'm gonna say something. For me, back in the day, I don't know who it was for you, and you can throw their name in there. But for me, like for my aunts, or back in the day, like my mom's time frame, or my aunt, I don't know who my mom don't listen to rap, but my aunt, they like Tupac.
Yeah.
For some people it was Biggie, Nas, and Jay-Z, but for me it was Nipsey Hussle. I listened to Nipsey way before he had that beard, and for them it was, a lot of rappers have came, gone, and went, but I didn't really realize what they were really doing until my son started asking me about this young man. His name was XXX Tenacion.
Yeah, okay.
And when my son started asking me certain questions, I realized he was so intrigued of what this young man was saying. And I don't even say boy, I say young man, because he was speaking the truth. He was talking about some things, and I teach my son at all times, be self-sufficient. That's the best thing that you can do as a man.
So for me, right, it was, for me, it was Public Enemy. Boogie Down Productions. Rakim.
LL, using that golden era.
X-Clan. Poor Righteous Teachers. I listened to Tupac. I listened to Biggie. So for me, right,
even like KRS-One was trying to tell you. Ice Cube still trying to tell you to this day. Yeah. Even rappers like what was it? Like Ice Cube, Jay-Z will throw something out there. Nah, I mean all of them, the good ones. Jadakiss, all of them, they'll try to tell you, but nobody was listening. But then it's like when I saw that high official, I'm telling you, when I find it again, I'll never forget this man's face. When he said that, the next day a news press came out. And I'm just always wonder why the U.S. don't go to war with other big countries, because they know y'all secrets.
Well, Eddie Griffin said it best, right? He was talking about Bruce Lee, right?
Yeah.
And then it was
horrible
saying,
what they did to him.
He was just like, hey, I said, I like how that motherfucker walked, right? And he was like, oh yeah, he was a Chinese nigga, right? So
Yeah.
So basically what he was saying, like one Bruce Lee, right? But a million plus, like nigga, leave him alone, right? So it's almost like put like this. It's just like what you said. Out of all of the countries that the United States fuck with, they don't fuck with China.
No, they don't fuck with China, Russia, or the Middle East. But everybody want to sit here and stab at Africa. Y'all gonna keep stabbing at Africa, and then once Africa be like, I bet African people from Africa, real Black Americans, real African Americans,
and then my dad,
they are very educated. I have yet to meet a dumb person that's from African American, that's of African American descent. And that means from here, because my family's heritage is from America. I have never, there's nothing in my family's heritage that goes back to Africa. It stops at the islands.
Yeah. And then what's so bad about it, like what my dad told me, he told me this years ago. He said, look, it's gonna come a time where that a lot of motherfuckers gonna raise their hand, to join the army or whatever. And then it's gonna come a time where that we gonna go to war, and then we gonna face our own brother, or we gonna face our own sister. And then motherfuckers act like really gonna be like, hell, I can't shoot you. And then they gonna be like, hell, I can't shoot you neither. Right? And so I really think that this is what these motherfuckers are actually really scared of. Because I'm gonna tell you another incident that happened to me.
When you in charge of everything, when you run everything, it's just the opposite of what they teach you. As a Black man, you're taught to control your household. But as a Black man, even as a woman, we're taught to listen, take direction. But you want to sit here and teach me as a household, we have to function together. But then when I go outside, it's if you Black, you wrong, you white, you right.
Yeah.
And you expect me to believe that shit, but then you want me to think that if aliens come down here, you want me to kumbaya with your ass?
But the thing about those spoons is this, and I told my wife this. I was like, everybody holler about UFO this, UFO that, UFO the other. And I told her that I was like, look, ain't no alien finna come down here and fuck with us. Hell, we too fucked up in the head.
But look, now you know what I would do? You know what I would do, since you want to entertain me on this conversation and everybody always laughs me out the gate. Look here. All I would do if I was an alien, you know what I would do? I would tap into everybody's social media device, everybody's little telephone, because that's an extension of you.
Yeah.
That's your hand. What we on right now? We on social media.
Yeah.
Okay. So it has become a microphone. That's why a lot of times I tell people, they be like, what you putting on social media? Whatever the hell I want. It's a joke.
Yeah. And then
if you think hold on though. What I would do if I was of an extraterrestrial entity, I would tap into that and I would tell all the motherfucking secrets, and that'll start all the chaos that I need.
So basically what you said, you would do the exact same shit that Optimus Prime did in the very first Transformers.
I'm trying to tell you, and that is one of my favorite movies. What did he say? What if I can make my point? I'm Optimus Prime. Optimus Prime had a point. Look,
that was just like, it's so because what's the face asked him, you like, damn, how you learn how to talk like that? And what he said, eBay. So,
I'm trying to tell you. Look at how Bumblebee was talking. Bumblebee didn't even have a voice.
Yeah.
Look at if you think about it, it's funny because I got my son into Star Wars.
Okay.
With the Mandalorian, because that's the only part of Star Wars that I like. Yeah. But you mean to tell me when I look up, ain't nothing there? You mean to tell me when I go and look at the equation of time, ain't nothing there? You mean to tell me, that's just like when you say, "Oh, they landed on the moon." Did they really?
Yeah, exactly. I will listen, Smoot. I will always debate that to the day I die.
A dude, one I remember. I never remember. I remember this. It's like when I got into truck driving, and a lot of people be like, "Why you drive trucks?" It makes me happy. And when you do what you love, when you do what makes you happy, you free. And that's the thing. I left the corporate position to be happy. Because I ain't finna sit here and use what I learned. When you get on that CB radio, it's a different world.
Yeah. I know. So,
and when I tell them, another truck driver asked me, "You think they landed on the moon?" Man, we sat there and talked for about 2 hours.
Yeah, I know, right?
And it effed him up. He was like, "Damn, I never would have known." Hey, I can get you. Because I'm like, you can make it look like anything. Yeah. I can say to folks right now, I'm in another galaxy. I'm in another world in my mind.
Yeah, because I look at it like this. Right? Why the fuck you think Area 51 is so heavily guarded?
I'm trying to tell you, but what was that? The Day of Independence Day tried to say these movies are not movies, they're documentaries.
Yeah. Yeah. Trust me.
That's why my favorite movie. I have two favorite movies. Well, three really. I have two favorite movies. It is the Matrix. Every movie of the Matrix. Because if you really look at the last one, the one that nobody liked, but everybody missed the point. When I don't know if have you seen the last one?
It's been a while, so
Okay, watch the last Matrix. All you got to do is watch like the first 30 minutes, and you realize they was playing tricks with his mind. And that's the thing. If when you look outside at night, you know when you lay in the bed next to your lover, or when you hug your grandkids and shit, that's real. But to look up in the sky and be like, is them real stars? Is that real?
Yeah,
right? Is I served something for 21 years. Is that real? Is all of this real? Is this tangible or is this non-tangible? Because everything is ran on so much. But when you really, like Dick Gregory said, when you get handed those goggles, only you can see. You can't give them to nobody else. They got to put them on themselves.
Yeah,
that's it.
And then they ain't gonna always see what you see. But then
exactly.
Since you talking about, but since you talking about movies, I got one for you. If I didn't already tell you this, go back and watch the movie Clue.
I got to. Yeah. I got to.
Yeah, it's based off of the board game. And basically, what them motherfuckers is talking about, they talking about that shit that happened on Jekyll Island. I mean, you gotta be like, because everybody in there ain't going by their actual name. So because I kept watching.
Is it okay? Let me ask a question. Is it like Clue when it was in Tron?
No, it's based off of the board game.
The board game?
Yeah.
But you understand what I'm asking you. You remember in the movie Tron, in the first movie, where Clue he took it into his own. And that's what I feel like this is.
Yeah.
I feel like we live in a galaxy world and one individual took it to the next level and you can't control it.
Yeah. So I got to tell you this. Going back to, our origin or whatever. So I'm on my second tour of Germany, right? And this is when I actually already brought the family over. And they were shutting down stuff. And so this is when I actually they actually gave me the option to like say, hey, look, You can either stay here in Germany, go to Japan, or go to Fort Hood. So I said, you know what? I want to go to Fort Hood because of how close it was to here. So anyway, I get on the plane, right? Or get ready to get on the plane, right? So and I had some Timberlands on. I never get it, right? So the the damn buzzer went off, and so I'm like, okay, well, I know what the fuck it is. So I took my shoes off, I took my belt off, right? So I go through it again, right? So this motherfucker is steady buzzing. So I ain't got shit else on me, right? And so after a while, these motherfuckers, don't you know these motherfuckers? They was about to do a body cavity search on me, right? And so I'm looking at them like, look, I'm a sergeant in the United States Army. I showed these motherfuckers my ID. I showed them my motherfucking orders and every goddamn thing. These bastards, they still wanted to motherfucking search me. And so I'm like, what's the problem? They gonna look at me like, well, you look like one of them. And I'm like, well, who the fuck is them?
Who? Yeah,
Right?
who is them? Who?
So
what you saying? That's just like that's just like on a lot of these TV shows. You can see where they be like they base a lot of things off of psychological structure.
Yeah.
If you look like you finna get into some shit, they finna check you. And that's why I know. I tell people I get checked every time I go to the airport. You wanna know why? Because I got dreadlocks.
Yeah.
I got dreadlocks and I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
You know, I am myself. I don't care if I was a billionaire, a millionaire, or broke. I'm gonna dress the same. I'm still gonna get checked at the airport.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But the fact that we live in a world that goes off of perception. It's all perception. And that's what they created it off of. They created laws off of perception.
Yeah.
They created the way that you're viewed off of perception.
But what's so bad about it though, Smoot? I you know, and I don't mean to cut you off, right? But what's so bad about it? My wife at the time, right? Guess what this bitch gonna say? She could say, "Well, you know, you do kind of look like them," and I'm like, so now I'm looking at her, right?
But that's what they thinking too.
Yeah. So
that's what they saying. They saying the same shit she's saying.
Yeah, so I'm just like, so again, right? I'm just like, so then I started to think. So I went back to what the fuck happened to me when I was in Saudi back in '98, right? How they was looking at me. And then fast forward a couple of years later, I can't get on the motherfucking airplane because they thinking that I'm looking a certain way. And then here it is, my wife, and then it was like a couple of other my friends, you know, they said the exact same thing. They were like, Kurt, like, yeah, you black, but you kind of look like them. So I'm just like, so I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? You know, so, but, you know, the black said, but, you know, but in our case, you know, regardless of what the fuck I look like or who I look like, right? You know, it's just for the simple fact that I put like this, I've done enough research to know, right? And then like when my grandmother died, well, actually when my grandmother died and when my mother died, right? Now you look at my beard is gray, right? But when they died, their hair was silver. And we just like I said, and you and I both know there's a difference between being gray hair.
It's a big difference between silver and gray.
Yeah, and so I was just like, and so you know, so a lot of it, that right there, that confirmed it for me. I'm just like, okay, well at least on this side, I know that I'm Cherokee, right? I already know what the hell I am on my father's side. I'm Jamaican and motherfucking Puerto Rican. Now, once I actually really find out what my grandfather was on my mother's side, then I could be like, you know what, it's complete. You know, and then but then again, who's to say? Hell, he might have been Cherokee. I really don't know, but it's just for the simple fact that one, people starting to wake up. Two, people knowing that a lot of this shit what we see on television is straight bullshit. So
that's just like, you know what that remind me of?
what's
That
that?
time where they got on there and they were talking about what was it? Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
President Obama was cousin.
Oh, oh goodness. I'm just like, you know, that ain't the first time that they done said some shit like that because they was what was that? It was like some 13-year-old girl, a 14-year-old girl. She supposedly had traced down the family tree of all of the presidents and come to find out that all of them are related and all that kind of stuff. And which for the most part, I could be like, well, hey, it all depends on how you look at it, but I mean, considering how you, but considering how if you go back and you look at Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln and Dwight Eisenhower and Calvin Coolidge, and you go back and look at their shit, and then it make you
I
think,
mean,
okay,
if you wanna go into rigged presidencies, you have to go. That's where you have to start. That's where they were rigged. That's where Democrat, Republicans, the Whigs, and that's where I was like, when I would ask questions, I remember asking questions to my economics and government teacher. She wanted to give me an F because I talked too much. I asked too many questions. And I asked her, I said, you get mad at me for asking questions, but at the same time, none of this makes sense.
You the damn teacher. You supposed to.
And she would tell me things like, she would be like, well, I encourage you to ask questions. I'm like, but you can't tell me nothing. You can't tell me how effed up this was. Because it's just like I'm trying to sit here and believe you in what you say, but I said what's in these books is wrong. Yeah. What's in these books is incorrect. This is not how a democracy or even a republic is supposed to be ran.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. They wanted to run it like a monarchy, but on the low.
Yeah. So speaking of that. This goes into the last little piece. All of these banks, they're shutting down because you know about the Signature Bank there in New York that shut down, and then there's a couple of banks off of there. What is it? The Silicon Valley Bank that shut down, and all of these motherfucking banks shut down all of a sudden. So. What you think about that?
They shutting down for a reason, and it's certain banks. Like a lot of people are not going to be able to recognize which banks because those banks only handle a certain amount of money.
Yeah, because
just like SunTrust. SunTrust only handles you if you accumulate a certain amount of money.
Yeah, because a lot of that shit, because they were saying like it's banks up there in Portland, Oregon. That shut down, and a lot of the Walmart stores are shutting down because of those banks being shut down.
Like that's why Bank of America or Chase, Bank of America and Chase is gonna get a lot of limelight because they're Bank of America and Chase, but you're not gonna see PNC, you're not gonna see SunTrust or any other of these banks with a weird name. But if we're a veteran. It's gonna say USAA or Navy Federal because we not gonna go nowhere, but where veterans are accepted.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the thing. That's the problem because it's just like that's why I tell people like, well, what's your background? I was in the military. I was in the military for a long time. So you got to know. What I know is that their whole motto is cease and desist and cover up. That's their whole motto. So it's just like you have to look at it as there has to be a just on a deeper spectrum where your bank is entitled to. It's not. It's an organization.
Yeah.
That's why when you go to the Federal Reserve, it's an organization.
Yeah.
It should say gov, but it's an organization.
Yeah, I mean, because like I say, they was like, okay, well, the Federal Reserve is just as federal as FedEx, So, but my thing is, I always go back to one important date, and that's August 15th, 1971, right? When President Nixon did away with the Gold Standard Act as far as like backing up the American dollar. And so, again, depending on who you are, right? If you actually like really have tracked the dollar as far as like, okay, who or what was backing up the American dollar, because at one point it was the gold, then it went from gold to the petrodollar, and then so I don't know what the fuck is backing it up now, right? Because
But
when it
you had
was
to look. That's when the crap started. After the war stopped, America doesn't know how to make money other than wars.
yeah.
So what's the other ways? The movies teach us. These false
That's why they
flags,
got
red
that's why
flags.
they got Kennedy out of there. That's why they got Kennedy out of there, because Kennedy knew what the fuck was going on. Just like that, he was trying to bring the troops back or whatever, and so they got him out of there. So you know it's treacherous. We all know that war brings in money. Um, at least from I would say from 1980, maybe let's just say from 1960 up until 1990, right? You could actually really track it. You can actually really track when the next war was gonna happen, because when the economy is good, ain't nothing happening. But as soon as the economy turns to shit, you already know we finna be in conflict with somebody.
But my question is this: what was going on when Bill Clinton was president? What was going on then? Why was money so good then?
Because I think what Bill Clinton did, he took what he done as governor of the state of Arkansas, and he just put it on a wider.
But that's what I'm saying. What was it that made Bill Clinton? Because I remember, what made it so okay that everybody, and I ask my mom this all the time. I'm like, everybody made money, from, it doesn't matter what industry that you were in, everybody made money. The stock market was booming, everything was booming, the middle class was booming, we was in a war, everything was going to, or was it because we was in a war?
Well, the thing about it though is this, okay, you look at when Clinton was in office, right? And how everything was good. And then you could almost say the exact same thing when who was that? It wasn't Kennedy. I want to say uh was it Roosevelt? It was one of them. It was one of them where they actually really came in, because that was after the motherfucking 1929 crash that happened. But then again, you also got to look at, what war was going on during that time frame or whatever to actually really bring in money. And so you fast forward it to 1992, right? And then you almost got to look at, okay, well, who was we in? Well, shit, the Desert Storm War was going on. I mean, granted, the fact that was under Bush, right? But then you got to look at it. You also got to look at the simple fact. Okay,
you was in Desert Storm, wasn't you?
No. I was in the 11th grade when Desert Storm happened. But look how close that was. That was late 90 going into 91. Right?
So riddle me this. What did Desert Storm have to do with 9/11?
Well, because the thing about it though is this, and then what's so bad about it? When they called it PLDC back then, right? So they want to say that Hussein was responsible what happened in late 90 going into 91, right? And I've heard some of my section chiefs that when when I first came in 97, and then all of my section chiefs, they was a lot of them was the old Desert Storm guys. And so basically what they said was, the so-called snipers or whatever. A lot of motherfuckers said that they had Hussein in their crosshairs. They were just waiting for the word to take his ass out. President Bush said, "No, we're not gonna do that." Right? So, but in either case, everybody surrendered. This, that, the third. Right?
So is it safe to say that the same way they did Saddam Hussein is that the same way they did Mahatma Gaddafi?
Yeah, pretty much. It's because and the only reason why I say that, Smoke, is that when I went to SLC, and then this was like after, because the air defense branch was at Fort Bliss, so they moved it from Fort Bliss to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, right? And so like when I did SLC there, and I'm looking at, considering how they was like, you had to have a top secret clearance to even look at a goddamn launcher, let alone go in the ECS van, right? So I'm looking at everybody else coming to learn our system, whether it was the Germans, the Japanese, the Koreans, and the Saudis. So I'm looking at, okay, here it is. You letting anybody and everybody come learn our motherfucking system. And then, with Raytheon, right? They don't give a damn who buys the motherfucking system. That's money in their motherfucking pocket. So I'm just looking at, okay, well, if they're actually like over here studying the premier one of the premier defense systems that the United States has to offer, right? If they're learning that, ain't no telling what else they motherfucking learning. Because again, I told Zach this, because me and Zach would talk all the time, right? Right? You the new kid on the block. You the richest kid on the motherfucking block, right? And so you got all these motherfucking high-speed toys, right? So you let everybody else in the neighborhood play with your toys. Matter of fact, you learn them how to play with these toys, and then you ended up giving these toys to everybody else. But here's the catch, right? In 10 years, you need to come see me. I need to see how well you play with these motherfucking toys. And so just know that Osama bin Laden, as well as Saddam Hussein, just know they was one of the kids on that motherfucking block at that time.
It was kind of like, you look at it like some street stuff.
Yeah.
I sell you some weapons. I give you some product. You don't pay up, and I gotta let you go.
Yeah, I need to come. Like I say, I need to come see you, because again, it's just like when Paul Mooney was on Dave Chappelle, right? And then they was asking those when he was playing the doggone Negro Domus character, and so he said, "Why do you think that Saddam Hussein? Why does Bush think that Saddam Hussein have weapons of mass destruction?" He said, "Because he has the receipt." Right? So again, think about it for a minute, right? You got the biggest and baddest guns possible, right? But you don't want nobody else to have shit. Or at least that's what you're saying. Because like I said, we already know that the United States government ain't finna fuck with China. They ain't finna fuck with nobody just as big as them. But they go and fuck with everybody else.
Right, because they greedy. They greedy as hell. We already know that.
Yeah, so when you look at it, so again, let's just look at it. So when Clinton was in office, or when he was about to come in office, again, he coming in on the tail end of the motherfucking Persian Gulf War. So,
but my thing is that doesn't this come? Anything that comes on the tail end of Desert Storm or Persian Gulf, that's the start of 9/11.
Yeah, but okay then here's the deal though, right? Let's look at what the Democrats do as far as like the armed forces versus what the Republicans do with the armed forces. Look at how many motherfucking government military installations that were shut down when Clinton was in office.
Well, we still had the biggest volunteering militarized organization.
Okay, I get that. So basically what happens is that Clinton, he shut down what he could shut down. And then but
why did Clinton shut all that down? I mean, if we pride ourselves on being number one in voluntary military service, when you have a lot of organizations that'll say, okay, you have to do 2 years mandatory because you're a male. If you're a woman, you have an option.
Yeah, but here's something else too, though. Here's something else too, though, Smoot. Again, I tend to look at when Clinton was in office. I look at what he shut down. Then I look at it when who was that? Because it was Clinton and it was Bush, and then it was Obama, and then so you have to actually really just stop and look at it for a minute. The Democrats historically, right? They would shut a lot of motherfucking military posts down because they say to save more money. But let a Republican.
It wasn't saving more money because that money was already there. So yeah, you was just moving them funds to somewhere else, and then when the Republicans would come in, they would talk crap, but y'all was using them same funds in another area.
But and then again, now that you say that, but I'll be the first one to tell you, because these motherfuckers, they'll sit up and tell us all goddamn day long. Well, we in so many billions and trillions of dollars of debt. But then
when you say we, and as a black person, when you say we, who is we?
Exactly. So, I mean, but here's the thing, though, Smoke. They've been saying that for as long as I've been living.
That's just like y'all want to sit here. Y'all want to sit here and tell us all about the deficit. You can tell us all about the deficit, but you can't tell us about slavery.
Yeah.
You want to tell us who we owe money to. You want to tell us who this money is going to, but you can't tell me where my great granddaddy was at. You can't tell me that.
Yeah, but then again, here's something else. Here's something else for you though. These motherfuckers say we owe this, but they never tell you who we owe it to. At least I haven't heard of it.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I say when y'all talk about reparations, that's why I don't understand why ain't nobody saying y'all gave the Jewish people reparations and they didn't even ask for it. They just came over here and got it. But when you talk about
Japanese,
when you talk about
Japanese,
exactly, Japanese people got reparations for Pearl Harbor when they attacked us first.
Yeah.
But when you talk about black people, you want to sit here and act all brand new. You want to act all funky. You want to act all stank about it. And I'm like, look, what is it about black people that you don't even have a clue about when it comes to reparations? We ain't asking for reparations. We built the cotton industry. We built a lot of industries in this world. When even when you look at the the predominant resources. When you look at fossil fuels, when you look at Africa, we have sat here and produced so much.
Yeah.
And you want to sit here and call us lazy? That doesn't make any sense. How can you call us lazy when we built the White House? That's just like when people call Michelle Obama a man.
But you know what, though, Smoke? I tell you this. I think the main I give you two reasons, or I give you one reason why. Where that they haven't actually really thought about they've thought about it. And so again, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, right? You know, those of us that are actually really hollering, they want reparations, right? And then
it's not that I want. Some people don't want reparations.
Yeah.
But what I'm gonna say, I want the same thing they got, because when I look at a lot of things, I want to know how in the hell with that job, how are you able, with what you make, how are you able to obtain that house with that land? Are you getting the Homestead Act? I want to know the thing that the real true thing that got Martin Luther King killed is because when he said we want our check. I want to know why we sit here and we struggle with home ownership. We have grimaces on our face because of home ownership, but Bob and Mary can be able to get a house and they ain't did nothing in their lifetime.
Yeah, well,
why do we have to go through those certain things as a people? It's just what I was saying in the beginning, even with the Tucker Carlson, even with the 1020. Every time we get to this bottom line, why are you still treating people like this? And people, black people, what do you have against us? Who is driving this to make you want to stop us? Not us, but our future generations.
Yeah.
Why do you want to keep doing that? That's my question, and that's my homework. I'm gonna keep trying to find that out. But
it's like what you said, right? Is it segregation or is it integration? And the only reason why I say that is because here it is. You had Malcolm on one end. Malcolm was saying, "By any means necessary." This now, great fact, this was pre-Mecca, right? Then he went to Mecca, right? And he looked, and then he saw the light or whatever, and then Martin was always like, "Hey, look, turn the other cheek, do this, do that, the other," right? So whatever happened to Malcolm when he went to Mecca, right? Because they said, like, when Malcolm came back from Mecca, one of the first few people that he talked to was Dr. King. As far as like, hey, look, instead of us acting like it's almost like, okay, well, it's obvious that we want the same shit, right? So let's actually really see.
And that's when they killed them both.
Let's just see what we can actually really do.
It didn't have nothing to do with nothing else but the one word, unity.
They saw it. They saw it coming.
Unity. Yeah. They saw that two people was unifying, because either you're gonna be bad about it or you're gonna be passive about it.
Yeah.
And I relate towards an individual like Malcolm X. Yeah. I agree with people like the nation until you start talking about, I as a woman can't have a voice. But
that's right there. So
my thing is because I speak. I'm not speaking because I'm trying to be like one of the men. I speak because I speak for women.
Yeah.
I don't look at nothing else when I speak for women, because I have mothers, I have aunts, I have uncles, but I speak for myself when I say this is what I have viewed being a woman. All that other stuff comes second. I'm a woman first.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I see that, like, what are y'all doing? It's a mess. It's a hot mess. Yeah. When you have people that are still being, you have people that are making laws that make other people, and I'm not even saying that you leading with emotions or you're leading with feelings, but why are we still making laws like this? Why are people trying to renege Tucker Carlson? Because he does a lot of reneging. I wish I had the time to view, because I watch a show just to see.
Yeah.
Just to take a view. But on that note, I think it's a lot of things that we can talk about and continue to talk about, like you said, till we blue in the face. But I'm gonna go ahead and head on out.
Okay, but I gotta, but I'm gonna ask you this, since we was talking about Martin and Malcolm. Now, since Martin and Malcolm, who have we had that was just as loud or just as powerful as those two since they've been assassinated?
Fred Hammond, Farrakhan.
But I like Farrakhan. Now with Farrakhan, I like Farrakhan. I really do, because like I said, back in '95, I went to the Million Man March, right? But I think even with Farrakhan, right?
He was silenced to an extent.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I just feel like until we get somebody like Malcolm and Martin again, which I'm not gonna say that it's not gonna happen, but until that happens again, then yeah, conversations like what we having right now will always exist. But the thing about it though is this, right? Whoever those two men, or a man and a woman, or hell, it could be two women, because I've always feel like that the woman was the first teacher of the male child, right? I've always been a believer of that, but until we get two more people, or however many people that is actually really going to take at this point of the junction, that they got that they I just feel like they have to have that same mindset that brother Malcolm and brother Martin had, but it's just for the simple fact it's going to happen.
Who came close? Who came close to having that, but they came at it from a different direction than anybody else would have even expected. And that was Candace
Owens.
Yep.
But yeah, but they, man, look, they be clowning the shit out of her though.
They clown her, but she's right. That's why.
Yeah,
right, but she's also wrong.
My mom just said it. She's right, but she's just as wrong. Yeah. Now you sit up there with your permed hair. You sit up there and you say these things, and you talk like Malcolm, and you move like Martin, but you sit here and you align yourself with white folks. You sit here and you move like white people.
No.
And the thing is that she did something that Ben Carson didn't give us. Ben Carson kind of was just like Uncle Tom, but it was a Republican that was running for office in Baltimore, and I liked her campaign. I wouldn't say that I would vote for her whether or not, but Candace gave us a true vision of what a black Republican is supposed to be like.
I don't know about that.
Now, see, that's the thing. That's the reaction that I want, because you want somebody that's gonna be able to provide a different side. Because imagine how white Republicans and white Democrats act.
Yeah.
Look at what we call them, Quakers. Or what they call them. Excuse my language, nigger lovers.
Yeah.
They gave them a whole name. So what do you call black people? What you call them, house niggas? Or you light skinned, you was a house nigga.
Yeah.
You dark skinned, you worked in the field. You know, so the thing is that Candace gave us something that Ben Carson didn't. Candace gave us something that Colin Powell didn't. She gave us something that Condoleezza Rice didn't.
I don't know if Candace is the right person.
She not the right person, but we getting close. Look at Omarosa. They thought Omarosa was dumb. Till she came out, you know, after that, you know, and that's my closing statement. You know, we gonna have to get into it.
Oh yeah, most definitely. You know, because my whole deal is that we gonna have to if in order for it to actually really turn around like how we want it, you know, they're gonna have to have, you know, because people will go so far, right? And then they'll get to that edge, and then they were like, "Well, I don't know."
Yeah, good. Yeah. I mean, she's the Angela Davis of her time, but on a different side.
Yeah,
that's exactly what she is.
Yeah, so you know, my whole deal is I'm not gonna sit up here and say that I'm too old to do any goddamn thing. But you know, but my whole deal is this, right? I fuck around, and that's probably why I will never win the lottery or anything. But just know this, Super Smooth. If I ever give me a big piece of money, then you already know who the fuck I'm coming to first. So
you know, but I mean, we gonna have to regroup because I mean, like you said, I mean, it's just for me. I don't think we need a Malcolm. I don't think we need another. We don't need another Malcolm. We don't need another Martin.
That time frame.
We need somebody else, and that's what rap music has tried to do. But we need something else. We need somebody that do it all. We need. I always ask this question, and nobody can never answer it. And I feel like that was the reason why JFK got martyred. I'm not even going to say murdered. We need a millennial because myself as a millennial, we don't listen. We don't shut up. We always trying to provide something new.
Yeah.
And we always think that our ideas are great. And sometimes that is the best thing that we can do.
I do believe that they need some
we need some new blood, but you know, we also need to we need to respect the old folks that's up in there. But they've been in there a little too long, and look where we at.
Hey, are you able to watch PBS?
Yeah.
Chuck D, he just did a 4-episode documentary.
Mm-hmm.
It's called "Fight the Power: How Hip Hop Changed the World." It's 4 episodes, right? If you can watch that, just watch it, right? Because I just got through watching it not too long ago, and a lot of it actually really makes sense because they actually really talked about how it started off, and then it went all the way up until when Obama was president, right? And then my whole deal is this: a lot of people saying like, well, President Obama was the result of what the hip hop artists actually really talked about. But then, if you go look at it from that aspect, right? And then, well, hell, you can actually really, because you know, a lot of people say he did a lot when he was in. A lot of people say that he ran this country in the ground. It all depends on who the fuck you talk to. But I actually really thought that it was the 4 episodes. It's 4 episodes. Real good, you know, real good material. Check it out when you get a chance.
Okay.
So when is the next time that we can do this again?
Give me till Friday.
Okay then. All right. So let me know, and then we'll get back on this.
Okay. Just shoot me a text though.
All right then. I'll do that.
All right. You take care. Much love to you.
All right then, Super Smoke.
All right.
Yep. Okay, y'all. Another show in the books. Damn good show, if you ask me. Again, always, wanting to hear from other people other than myself as far as like how they feel about certain situations, of the topics that we're actually really going to be talking about at that particular time. So, hey, guess what? It is what it is. Um, I got actually like really under 20 days before I actually really turned 50 years old. Again, it's like what I told y'all like about a couple of weeks ago. A lot can happen between now and about it, and a lot can happen between now and the time when I turn 50 or before I turn 50. So I'm actually really not taking anything for granted here. Uh, but it's just like what I said, up until this point, you know, I have no regrets about what I said, what I've done. You know, um, hey, everything happens for a reason. At least that's what the fuck they tell us, right? So, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed this. Y'all have a good day. Before y'all actually really have a good day, y'all get to tell your mama, tell your daddy, tell Big Dad, tell Big Bertha, your uncle, your auntie, your grandma, your papa, motherfucker next door across the street around the corner, Paulus Harris, aka Crazy Uncle. I'm gonna holler at y'all.